Oh, good afternoon. Latest news from British Petroleum. They started the top kill yesterday. Started pumping mud down into the well to see if they could get that to stop the flow. Oh, here we. This afternoon they announced that they stopped. That there was too much mud coming out of the blowout preventer. Mud and oil coming out, so obviously they had not stopped the flow. Then about an hour later they started it back up and said, oh no, it's working. And they said, well, we won't know for 24 to 36 hours, which is what they said yesterday. They're planning on later this evening adding materials into the mud to help clog things up. It's hard to tell where reality is with this anymore. Story changes minute by minute. Meanwhile, the president did a news conference today where he basically said that he takes responsibility for getting this thing taken care of. And that's going to appease some people. Problem is, there's going to be a bunch going to say, well, you should have done something earlier. There's no way to know why. How could they have done anything earlier? What could they have done? The equipment's been there the whole time. Now, part of the problem is they have been relying on BP's stuff, but by the same token, BP is supposed to be the expert. And the president even said his mistake was thinking BP knew what they were doing. He admitted it. That's a refreshing change. The guy at the top admitting he actually made a mistake and trusted someone he shouldn't have. That's refreshing. The scientists working for the government have now backed the fact that the actual amount of oil gushing out is somewhere between 12 and 25,000 gallons a day, not the original 1,000 or the updated 5,000. Excuse me. So, by those estimates, the spill is already 2 to 3 times as big as the Exxon Valdez. If this junk shot and top kill and some whatever other hokey name we can come up with at this point, if these don't work, it's going to be 2 months until they can get that thing patched up or get the relief well in. So you're looking at a spill probably around 10 times the size of the Exxon Valdez. That it's already the largest oil release in U.S. history. It's going to start pushing close to world history if it goes that long with a relief. We have to wait for a relief well. Interesting news story today that I read was the bacteria. There's oil naturally seeps from the ocean floor. It's there. And there are bacteria that eat it. Not so much in the open ocean, but once they get to marshes, that bacteria tends to flourish. Water's warmer, so on. The problem is that while the bacteria eventually do a very good job of getting rid of the oil, of digesting it, they also remove oxygen from the water, creating dead zones. Fish need oxygen from the water to be able to survive. The bacteria, the stronger they get, the more of them there are. The quicker they eat the oil, it's also the less oxygen there is in the water to sustain their life. This can happen in the marshes as well. The plants there need to be able to get oxygen, and so the bacteria can actually kill that off. Eventually the bacteria die off when there's no more oil. But some of the bacteria that eat the oil are all the same bacteria that can cause infections like cholera in humans. Gee, that's good news. Now, would humans necessarily get it directly? Probably not. But any shellfish, fish, shellfish, mollusks, anything you pull out of that water and eat could potentially be infected with that bacteria, because they're going to eat the bacteria as well. So there's a potential health risk with that bacteria being in the water, which of course is one of the reasons they haven't come up with ways to just flat out release bacteria as a solution. Excuse me. So, the bacteria is good news and bad news. And there just seems to be a lot of that. Good news, they got one solution in place. The bad news is, don't know if it's going to work, and so on and so forth. So, there's no doubt this is going to impact the Gulf region for quite some time. Big fear right now is what happens if a hurricane comes in. That's a whole other scary thing. You could blow oil. You could blow that bacteria inland. Now you got health issues that aren't just on the coast. One great comment I saw today is that we need to stop calling the company BP. It's British Petroleum. Nothing against the Brits. The point of saying British Petroleum is to point out this isn't even an American company. We don't get taxes from them. Their headquarters isn't based here. They're making money off of us, and now we're having to deal with their mistakes, their negligence, really. And we're going to have to pay for cleanup and then try to get it back from them. They're British. I could see cutting a little slack for an American company that might be headquartered here. But for one that's overseas, that we don't get any, that are getting out of tax revenues for us, we need to remind people that it's British Petroleum. A lot of these, folks who are ready to wave the flag, you know what? Let's motivate you another way. Start boycotting BP. BP includes all the BP's gas stations. It's also Arco. I know Arco's cheap, but you're paying for that gas now. Just some thoughts. Headed home. I hope you have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you later.